Hello and welcome to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we are welcoming back Edwin from the Lynn Music Foundation. Thanks for joining us again on the show.
Yeah, happy to be back.
So this time you're coming on to talk about your Lynn Film Festival that is happening. I'm really excited to hear about this. So do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'm excited. This is our first Lynn Film Festival. This is something that was in the works because somebody shut him out, Michael Lacerdo, was like, hey, we should do something for the community and do like a film festival because I've done one before when I was in Prague, and I think it's a lot of fun and this could be something that, you know, people will enjoy and you know, we could make it like 3 days and just like have it be a little bit of everything that represents the Lynn Music Foundation, but also something that represents the community. And so we kind of took the idea and ran with it. And so this Lynn Film Festival will be geared towards Boston metro music communities.
So first things first, when is this happening?
So this is going to be October 12th to the 14th.
And you were mentioning each day has a different theme to it. And on the first day specifically, there's actually going to be a preview of one of your films.
Yes. So I have a film that I've been working on over the past few years. It really started with like, you know, me and my partner, Chris Martin, we ran this media company called Rantoul Recordings. Eventually what we did was, develop a podcast where we'd highlight local performers, rappers, artists from Lynn. And then eventually I decided like maybe there's something that we can do that helps spotlight Lynn a little bit more for people not just in Lynn, but also like potentially the world. And so I started working on this documentary film to capture the story of Lynn hip hop because it's a rich history that we have here in Lynn. Oh, yeah. And it'll be previewing at the Neal Rantoul Theater on October 12th.
And that's going to be really cool. And that whole first day is all focused on hip hop, you said?
Yes. So we have the preview screening of the Lynn Hip Hop documentary, which starts at 2 o'clock. And then we have another film playing at 7 o'clock called Wartown Rising. And that's about the Worcester hip hop scene, which also has a rich history. And that's directed by Kaz Supernova, who will also be in the building and speaking on his film.
That sounds like pretty cool because you get the director's take on it as well.
Yes, yes.
And I know one thing you want to make sure people knew is you're going to be in multiple locations. They are going to switch from day to day?
Yes. So October 12th is going to be at the Neal Rantoul Theater on 25 Exchange Street, the Lynn Arts Building. And then on October 13th, we're screening WBCN and the American Revolution about the radio station, the rock radio station WBCN, at 2 o'clock. And then we're screening at 4:30 The Road to Ruane about the Billy Ruane, who's like this very interesting character, but also a promoter that, you know, was pretty much instrumental in getting live music at the Middle East in Cambridge. And that film, The Road to Ruane, is screening at 6:30, and that will be at the Lynn Auditorium. Okay. And then we're back on Monday at the Neal Rantoul Theater for the WFNX day that we have. So Julie Kramer will be in the building. She'll be showcasing her photo gallery that, you know, back when WFNX was running, they used to broadcast out of the Lynn Arts Building. And so we're literally like in the same building that these great, amazing celebrities, music icons used to walk in, like Lenny Kravitz, Billy Idol, so many Red Hot Chili Peppers. There's so many icons used to walk into that building to get interviewed for WFNX. And Julie Kramer used to, you know, photograph them when they came in. And so her photo gallery is going to be on display. And then we're screening, we want the airwaves of WFNX story at 5 p.m. on Monday.
Well, you do. You have a lot happening, a lot going on.
Yeah. This is, like I said, this is our first one. We really wanted to pay homage to WFNX, you know, all the history that you know, has happened in the Lynn Arts Building thanks to WFNX. So we're happy about screening that film and having Julie Kramer in the building. I'm obviously excited for the film that I've been working on, so I'm really excited about that. And then the other films as well. I really think people who attend the full 3 days of the festival are going to be able to walk away with so many different you know, bits of history of music in the Boston area, from, you know, WBCN and the greatness that was, you know, the WBCN, the radio station, and as well as the smaller, but also like the underdog radio station WFNX, and then you have, you know, Worcester and Lynn as far as like the hip hop communities that, you know, oftentimes when people think about music, they think about music in Boston. Well, Lynn has a great music community, especially in hip hop, and so does Worcester. And so featuring those films are also I think people will be able to walk away with a lot of different understanding about what the landscape of music is like in the Boston area.
And also on the 12th, you're going to be talking about the Lynn Hip Hop Wall of Fame as well.
Yes, so we have some updates on that project.
Yes.
So we've been working, over the past 4 years on, making sure that we do something that represents the community, that highlights local artists in the realm of hip hop in Lynn, and do it in a way that not only pays homage to them, but also helps the community recognize who are the people and the leaders within this community that should be, honored. And so I have some updates on that project as well.
I'm being excited to hear about that. This made me want to go to it. Well, I wanted to anyway, but really.
Well, if you do want to go to it, I would love to have you guys all there. For people who are interested in learning more, I know there's a lot going on within those 3 days.
Yeah.
If you go to www.lynnfilmfestival.com, we have the schedule there. Links where you can buy tickets or RSVP. I should say that the screening on Saturday and Monday at the Neal Theater are free.
Okay.
It's $22 a ticket on the 13th at the Lynn Auditorium. But I hope people come out and enjoy all those films and find out more about what we're doing. And, hopefully this is something, that we do every year. This is being the first one. It's a great test run. But we're hoping that we get to do this every year.
And I know you mentioned it a little bit, but what do you hope people, take away from it? Whether they can come to 1 day, all 3 days?
Yeah.
What do you really want them to learn?
For me, I'm a music nerd, and that's why, I'm executive director of the Lynn Music Foundation. But, my passion is spotlighting, the great artists that make our community so great. And so over the 3 days, I think people will be able to see a little bit of everything from, people like Billy Ruane, who was also a promoter and supported local bands and was able to work with and give opportunities to, bands who would then go on to, be on major labels and really, become icons.
Yeah.
But it starts with the people behind the scenes. And we have a documentary on that, a documentary about the community in Lynn, all sorts of different things that people will walk away from having new knowledge of, maybe something they didn't know about, but also walking away with like, wow, music is important and these people have played a part in it, and it makes me want to get more involved in what's happening. And that's kind of the hope for me, that people take, that away.
And they also get to engage a little bit with whoever created the documentary as well. Like on the 13th, you do have a Q&A session.
Yes, that's right. So we have the directors for both films that's screening on the 13th. Bill Leichenstein, who directed WBCN and the American Revolution, and Scott Evans, who's co-director of The Road to Rowan. They'll be in the house doing a Q&A moderated by Victoria Weiselak, the Boston Globe music columnist. So, I'm sure people will have a lot of thoughts and maybe some questions. And I think having the filmmakers there, we're going to be able to find out more about these great films and the history of both WBCN, but also, the Boston rock scene. So the 13th will be a great day, as well as the 12th and 14th.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're all going to be just so amazing and interesting to see. And you mentioned this a little bit, though. We want the airwaves. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because you're saying there used to be a radio station in the video that you, or in the building that you now are.
So we want the airwaves, a WFNX story, directed by Jason Steves, talks about the history of WFNX. WFNX is broadcasted out of Lynn, and so they broadcasted from 1983 to 2012, I believe, and then had like a small stint on just online format. But they were responsible for a lot of the alt rock wave that came into Boston. So they offered something different that maybe WBCN wasn't offering, as far as, the programming that was happening, which was what made radio great back in those days. It's like every station had its own personality, played its own kind of music. And WFNX was that alt rock, new wave, music that, people grew to love. And it was based out of the Lynn Arts Building, broadcasting out of Lynn into Boston, and, had a great following. I, as a kid, I was a hip hop head when I was growing up.
Yeah.
But I would say that because I turned it down one day to WFNX, I became a big fan of rock music. But that was because WFNX offered something I hadn't heard before. I think, they just had so many great bands. And just the history itself, like they were a big part of Nirvana's, East Coast, spotlight, like the fact that they got the recognition they did. And part of that is WFNX playing their album, front to back, I think a couple times or something like that.
Wow.
Back before they were fully recognized, and obviously they're heavy icons now. But,
Yeah.
it's a great history that WFNX left in the Lynn Arts Building. And we're really excited about giving them like a day dedicated to WFNX and the history they left behind.
I am, yeah. So I'm really curious to learn more about that and hear more about that, and all the days of this film festival. And I know I wrap up in a moment. Was there anything I hadn't touched upon that you wanted to make sure people knew about?
I would say just the recap is October 13th at the Neal Rantoul Theater. My film, Lynn Hip Hop documentary, a preview screening. So this won't be the final version. We're still working on it, but this will be a preview screening, and we're hoping that the community just like they know how important this film is, and they get the sense that something is being created for Lynn with this film festival, but also Lynn is being represented in the film festival as well.
Mm-hmm. And I can hear that in just the way you speak about it, your passion for it, and it makes me really interested to see what's going to be created in a couple of weeks. So thanks for coming on again to really share this with us.
Thank you. Glad to be back, and hopefully we could see a good turnout that day, those 3 days at the Lynn Film Festival.
Definitely, for sure. And once again, I'm Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests.